Did I give you, yeah, everyone's gotten a raffle ticket for attending, and so just drop them in the bucket. Matt Cook, one of our modelers here, what I asked him to come in and show us is something that he does, I think, one of the better in our club, is coming up with display bases that highlight his subjects. And what I think is so cool about what Matt does is he takes things that I would look at and throw away, and he creates bases that are really interesting for the subject that he's made. So I asked him to come on in and explain some of them, some of the techniques he uses, and give you the opportunity to see how you can take a standard item, standard subject, and give it a much more interesting display for your show or your cabinet or your shelf. All right, so thanks, Matt.
Okay, well, as you all know, and just introduced me, so there's no need for that, but my thing, I became the base guy by accident and became known as the guy in our club that wants to put everything on a stick, which was unintentional. It just kind of happened that way, and I kept doing it, and I provided a whole lot of different techniques, and I'm trying to stay away from stuff that's unique to me, because I am a toolmaker machinist, so I get to machine parts and things that I put inside my models that not everybody has access to. So, but there's a lot of things in here you can just easily do what anybody could do. You don't have to have access to a mill. The drill press would be nice, but you can do it with a hand drill, no problem. And my thing is to start off, the bases officially in IPMS rules, your base has no bearing on your model, and that only applies in that room over there when the judges are actually looking at your model. Everywhere else, the base is a part of the model. So I try to make my bases so that I want them to look like they enhance the model, that they actually add something to the model. Maybe, and ideally tell you a little bit about that model, what kind of world does it live in, you know, where'd you go, like, you know, here's Hulk, what's he do? He beats up robots and tanks. That's what he does. And other monsters. But here's a plane, and I just took some old rocks and made a mountain range out of it. But to start with, you can use a custom, the bases that come with a kit. They're okay sometimes they're all right. But that's not me. That's not what I want to do. So usually I'll start off with just your typical Hobby Lobby base. You know, you can get these for $1 or $2. I think they're like $2.99 for 3 of them right now. And Hobby Lobby. In various sizes and shapes. And this is one that I've already cut out. I've cut out a bunch of these. You can do this on a router if you have access to it. It's not necessary, but the point is these 2 holes are what's critical. And that's for mounting things. And you can just use that, just a stick, to put it on. This is just an 1/8 inch rod. You can get this at any hardware store. And if you've got access to a vise, just use a pipe to bend it around until you get it to the shape you want. That's what I do. Instead, so you can't just put it up through the middle. There's no reason you can't. That's how some people do it, and then that's just not how I do it. So,
Is it okay to ask questions? Why?
yeah, sure.
Okay, I noticed those are all metal ones for the aircraft. Do you ever use like clear plastic ones? And if you do, how do you bend those?
The clear plastic ones, you gotta just go over a camel and bend them.
Thank you.
Sometimes I've been working with the clear plastic. What I found is these little 1/8 inch ones just not strong enough to hold up
Yeah, right.
a model that's bigger than a tiny airplane. So usually I just go with metal, and then this is plastic right here, and this is the 1/4 inch thick plastic, which
So
is,
you cut that out?
you can cut that with a saw, bandsaw pretty easily. This is stuff that I pull out of a scrap bin, but however, for $25 you can get a sheet that's about this big by this big at a hardware store. That's a lifetime supply. So that'll last you a really long time.
How do you melt the rod with a candle without getting it black?
I can help, because
Yeah.
that's how I do my planes on sticks, is I use 1/4 inch acrylic rod.
Yeah.
And how I do it is I have a camp stove, propane camp stove. What you're looking for is something that burns clean.
Yeah.
So if you have your stove top, you can do it. I've YouTube stuff about like putting it in the oven in sand, and then it's bendable, and that's a little more than I do, but I use a camp stove that use a propane burner. And the trick is getting close enough to where it bends, but not so close. It doesn't turn black, it bubbles and blisters. Now, if it does burn, actually catch fire, ignite, then it will turn brown and black. I don't have that problem. I have getting it at the right distance